Welcome again to Ancient Tales for Today. Well, we've been looking through this book and we've looked recently about the great leader Moses and all the things that he did, so many interesting stories. But now we move on as the story continues to move on. We are working our way through this book, page by page. Today's lesson is number 71, 一位妓女信上帝. This will be an interesting lesson, and you will enjoy the excitement of the story. Stay by as the story is read to you.
Story 71. A prostitute believes in God. The people of Israel are now at the borders of the promised land, according to the ancient tales. Their new leader is Joshua. He sends out 2 scouts to find out about the land across the river Jordan, near to the town of Jericho. The 2 scouts go to Jericho and stay at the house of Rahab, who is a prostitute. Somebody sees what is happening and tells the king of Jericho that spies are staying with Rahab. The king orders Rahab to bring out those 2 spies, but she says they have already left. Actually, she has hidden them on the flat roof under a covering. Before they go to sleep, Rahab talks to the 2 men. "We are all afraid of you people," she told them. "We heard how your God led you out of Egypt and you crossed the Red Sea on dry ground. We know how you have destroyed your enemies, so our hearts have melted with fear. Your God is the supreme God of heaven and earth, and He has given you this land. So, when you conquer Jericho, please save me and my family." What a statement of belief. This comes from someone you would not necessarily expect to say this. Before they leave, the scouts promise Rahab that she and her family will be kept safe. Then they return to the camp and tell Joshua that God has given them the land and that everyone who lives there is afraid. Sometimes we have ideas about other people because of their background. We judge them and perhaps even treat them badly. But here is an example of why we should not condemn people. We do not see the heart. This story also gives hope to all of us. It doesn't matter about our past or our background. We can still choose the good and still follow the path of heaven.
Welcome back. We've heard the story now. Let's jump right in, so to speak, and look at it. The people of Israel are now on the borders of the promised land. Okay, so the 以色列人他们在什么地方? They are on the borders of the promised land. Borders, 边境. So they're on the borders of the promised land. 应许之地. This is the promised land. This is what everybody left Egypt to go to this promised land. This is why they left Egypt. This is all about the story of Moses. But now they're on the edge. They're on the very borders of the promised land. And their new leader is, as we discussed last time, the new leader is Joshua. Joshua is the new leader. So in the next few stories, we're going to hear stories about Joshua. Now, he sends out two scouts. 这个是探子. These are what people who secretly enter a land to see what they can see and to discover the weaknesses. He sends two scouts. Sometimes we say spies, sometimes scouts, to find out about the land. What kind of land is it? Okay, and especially are the people. Now, of course, they've already been through this once. And so there's no question, they are going. This time they will go across the Jordan River, 过那个约旦河. What can they expect? What is there to expect? And so they are right across the river from the town of Jericho, 耶利哥城. This is an important city, Jericho. So the scouts go there. Now, here's what happens. The two scouts go to Jericho. I wonder if they spoke a different language or something. Anyway, they have to be very careful. They can't say very much. They just want to see how strong Jericho is. Is it a strong place? Well, so they go. And where were you going to stay? Where can you stay? So they stayed in the house of oh no. They're going to stay in the house of Rahab, who is a prostitute. 她是个妓女. Okay? So her profession, her work is not a good work. But it is a place to stay. They didn't do anything bad. They just stayed in the house of this prostitute Rahab. 不幸的是, somebody sees what is happening. Somebody saw them going there, and they 投诉. They tell the king of Jericho that spies, 这个探子, 密探, are staying with Rahab. Oh my, what's going to happen next? So now the king knows. What is the king going to do? Of course, the king orders Rahab to bring out the two spies. You really need to look at the story. In these 古今经谈, I make the stories rather simple because we're teaching English. But if you have the time, go to the Bible, go to the 古今, and read the whole story. Most fascinating. Okay, so he orders, 就命令 Rahab, bring the spies out. Of course, they're going to kill them. But she says, which is not quite right, she said they have already left. Well, maybe they left downstairs, but she was hiding them upstairs on the roof. She says they have already left. 他们已经离开. Actually, 事实上, actually, she has hidden them on the flat roof under a covering. 她已经把他们隐藏在这个屋顶上. I think, as I recall, that there was a bunch of grass up there or something, and they put over whatever the covering was, 就盖在他们的上面. Okay, and it was a flat roof, 一个平的 这个房顶。Now, before they go to sleep, Rahab talks to the two men. Okay, 他们还没有睡觉。Rahab talks to the two men. He said, "Excuse me, I would like to talk with you guys. We're afraid of you people. 我们是很怕你们的。We are afraid of all of you guys," she told them. "We heard how your God has led you out of Egypt, and you crossed the Red Sea on dry ground." 你在这个洪水，在红海 You crossed the sea on dry ground. God made the water go away. We heard about these stories, and we are afraid of you. Your God is strong. He led you out of Egypt. 从埃及带领你们出来。Go ahead. We know how you have destroyed your enemies. 你已经到现在已经毁灭你的敌人。You've destroyed your enemies, and our hearts have melted with fears. Do you know what melted means? Melted means to 融化。To melt with fears is 非常非常害怕。Melted with fear. Snow. 这个下雪，雪会 melt. So they were melting with fear. They were very afraid of what's going to happen. Now, we're going to have some light on the path. But after the light on the path, we'll come back and tell you the rest of this exciting story. Okay, now we come to more light on the path. Here is Joshua 2, 8 and 9. Joshua 2, 8 and 9.
是约书亚记的第2章第8节、第9节。
Before the spies lay down for the night, she went up to the roof and said to them, I know that the Lord has given this land to you, and that a great fear of you has fallen upon us, so that all who live in this country are melting in fear because of you.
中文的圣经呢是这样说的：2个人还没有躺卧，女人就上房顶到他们那里，对他们说：我知道耶和华已经把这地赐给你们，并且因你们的缘故，我们都惊慌了。这地的一切居民在你们面前心都消化了。
Okay, now the question I have for you today,
好。
Lena, is how could a person like Rahab, who doesn't have the best occupation, 她的职业不是最好的，
对呀，对呀，对呀。
Okay, how could she already begin to trust the God of heaven? Doesn't that seem a little bit strange?
我想，这个拉合呢，他虽然他的职业不是很好的，但是圣灵还是愿意教导他的。
Right, and I think that that's very true, because God doesn't look at our occupation. 我相信神也不喜欢他的职业，
对对。
But He looks on the heart, and he is starting to lead her, and she's seeing evidence. 他看到这个凭据啊。
对。而且艾老师，我看到就是说，虽然她是一个在人们眼中是一个不好的女人，但是她很尊敬上帝，所以她对约书亚他们说，她说我知道耶和华已经把这地赐给你们了，就是她知道这个世界上掌管的这个神是耶和华上帝。
That's right. Thank you, Lena. As you have heard already Rahab the prostitute, 她是个妓女, she's talking to the two spies, 这些密探, and they are 探子. And so she says, your God is the supreme God of heaven. 你的神是天国的至高的神啊, the greatest God of heaven and earth. Whoa, 她承认了. She is willing to 承认她自己的神也不是那么厉害啊. And she knows, and he, your God, has given this land to you. Whoa. We know that you're going to win and we're going to lose. That's basically what's said. So when you conquer Jericho, please save me and my family. Okay, I saved you. Now, when you conquer 你打胜战的时候, when you win, I want you to save me. I ask you to save me and 我的家庭. Wow. What a statement of belief. 不简单啊，他能够这样说他的信心, a statement of belief. It comes from someone you would not necessarily expect to say that. 我相信你想不到, you would not necessarily, 你想不到一个妓女会说这么一句话. She somehow is believing in the God of the Israelites. Now, 我可以承认, I mean, I will be the first to admit, she does not know much about the God of Israel. 她明白的并不多, but what she does know, she likes, she's willing to accept. 有时候人家的动机是不是十分好啊? But that's where you start. 这个是起点. That's where you start. And even though if it's bad motives, 这个动机不是很好, but then God leads us to have a better understanding, 更加认识他. Okay? Before they leave, the scouts promise Rahab that she and her family will be kept saved. 好了，他们就给应许，那些探子还没有离开，他就应许给这个 Rahab and said, we will honor this request, we will save you and save your family. You will be kept safe. Going on. Then they return to the camp and tell Joshua that God has given the land and everyone who lives in it there is afraid. Now, this is very interesting. This is quite different than 40 years before. They return to the camp and they tell Joshua that God has given them the land. 那块地, 这个国家等等, 上帝已经给我们的了，只要我们进去. And then they add this, and everyone there is afraid of us. 人们都怕我们，怕得要命. They are very afraid. So actually this is probably pretty good news, wouldn't you say? going on. Wait a second. We still have a sentence here. Sometimes we have ideas about other people. What do we call that? 偏见. 偏见. We call it prejudice. What is prejudice? Sometimes we have ideas about other people because of their background. 或许因为他人的这个背景, okay, their background is maybe not so good, and therefore we have, what do we call it? Bad ideas, 偏见, prejudice. We judge them, perhaps even treat them badly. 我们论断他们, judge them, 论断 them, 或许也对待他们是不这么好的对待他们. So this is the bad news. Now, admittedly, Rahab is not the best model. 她不是最好的模范, but she is willing to begin to believe in God. Going on. Here is an example of why we should not condemn people. 我们就是因为他的经验，我们不应该论断别人。恐怕他们的信心比我们的好。反正, and here's what it says here, we do not know the heart. 我们不知道内心. Only God sees our heart. God understands what is inside. This story gives us hope, gives hope to all of us. It doesn't matter what our past or background. 我们都有希望。不管我们的背景是怎么样，不管我们过去所做什么事，连坏事。There's hope for us because God looks on the heart. 神会查看我们的内心。He knows what our motives are and what our thinking is. We can still choose good and still follow the path of heaven. 不管怎么样, we can still, 我们还是可以选对的路，跟从天国。So, no matter who you are, there's hope. There definitely is hope. Okay, now we are going to take just a little bit of time for words you need to know. And now for some words you need to know. We'll begin with borders.
边境
Okay, can you say borders?
borders.
Whoa, that's very, very good.
谢谢
A border is the edge between one country and another country. Okay, so borders. Now let's take a look at another one. It says that Rahab had hidden them on the flat roof. Hidden, what does that mean?
隐藏藏起来
Okay, so to hide, 这个现在式是 hide. Okay, and the participle version had or has hidden. Okay, that's very, very good. Let's go on to another one. Supreme.
supreme
Oh, say that again. Supreme.
supreme
Yeah, very good.
是意思是至高的
Okay, 至高的. Supreme means the very top. Supreme. Sometimes we say superior. Okay, but the supreme being, that's God. God is the supreme being of heaven and earth. And Rahab somehow recognized that God was there. I don't know how, but like you said, God was working in her heart.
对对，
Okay, 在她的心里运作. Okay, and we'll stop with the next one here to condemn.
论断 condemn
Yeah, condemn. Isn't that interesting? CONDEMN. Okay, you put an M and an N. That's very rare, even in English. To condemn is 论断. We don't want to condemn other people. Okay, with that, I think we've run out of time. We'll return to our lesson. Well, I hope you enjoyed this. This has been an interesting story. Actually, quite a surprising story in a way, because we would not expect a prostitute to believe in God. That is the surprise. And it gives us all hope that no matter what our background is, we can begin to believe in God. Well, this has been an interesting lesson. We're going to continue on. The Israelites now are ready to enter into the promised land. In fact, that's the title of the next lesson. The next lesson is Into the Promised Land. 要走进这个应许之地. So, please come back and see us next time as we look at this story.
That's all for today, and thanks for watching. If you like Ancient Tales for Today, please visit atft.chinesehope.tv. You may also contact us by writing to ancienttalesfortoday@gmail.com. Again, that's ancienttalesfortoday@gmail.com. Tell your friends about Ancient Tales for Today. See you next time.